House Bill 1365 bans unhoused people from sleeping on streets, sidewalks, and in public parks. Areas for sleeping and camping sites will be designated by local government as long as they're approved by the Florida Department of Children and Families. However, these spots can only be used for 1 year. Residents and business owners can file lawsuits, civil lawsuits against counties if they allow people to sleep or camp without a permit. All around the country, we see lots of bills that are effectively intended to destroy, no other way to put it, to destroy the lives of homeless people, to undermine uh, the mobility, the health, the prosperity, the recovery of unhoused communities. When you see anti-homelessness legislation, it often doesn't present itself explicitly as anti-homelessness. You can't pass a bill that says, the war against homeless people. Let's pass the no homeless people bill. No, they make it a ban against public camping. They make it a ban against public loitering. They make it a ban that is pro something as opposed to anti something. It makes it seem as if all they're trying to do is protect the interests of other people. And this is what Ron DeSantis effectively said when the bill came through, right? And again, this is a Republican legislature, so it wasn't that hard to get it through. But what he said basically was that people have a right to not be bothered in the state. People have a right to be protected from homelessness and from people who are camping in public property. Ron DeSantis said, and I quote, "You should not be accosted by a homeless like we see. You should be able to walk down the street and live your life." All around the country, we're seeing these kinds of bills. These bills simply criminalize homelessness. We see the criminalization of poverty in this country in many, many ways. Since 2017, the number of people who have experienced homelessness or who are experiencing homelessness has risen by more than 8%. This is a striking number in Florida, right? 653,000 people across the United States. More than 50,000 of those people are living in deep South states, including Florida. In fact, if you look at Florida, at least 30,000 people are unhoused. The state has the third highest rate of homelessness in the U.S. behind California and New York. And what do you do in the United States when you have a blemish, when you have a social contradiction, when you have a crisis? Do you invest in it? No. Do you medicalize it, i.e., provide medical treatment? No. Do you socialize it, providing social services and welfare and such, other kinds of state safety nets? No. You penalize it. You criminalize it. You make it illegal. We made it illegal to be homeless in this country. We closed mental health facilities in this country and then locked people up after they ended up on the street after the mental health facilities closed. That means we criminalized mental health, mental illness. We get rid of drug treatment, and then you have homeless people on the street, and then we criminalize drugs. You're criminalizing drug addiction. We're effectively taking all of our worst issues, our worst contradictions, and we're criminalizing them. And homelessness is yet another one. But it plays in places like Florida. Because in places like Florida, all they want to be able to say is we're tough. In Florida, they want to be able to say, we got tough on those lazy homeless people. They're the rich and the upper class, they have a quality of life that deserves to be protected. You got poor people, you got hungry people, you got people who need food, clothing, and shelter. And the response to that, as the number goes up, is to make more laws that erase them. Because in this country, what we really want to do is hide our contradictions. We don't want to fix them. We want to hide our contradictions. So if you have a big homeless population, that's outside and you don't want it to look like you have a homeless population, you just relocate them. Now, the shelter would be a great place to put them, but they also say they don't want to invest in shelters. They don't want to invest in any kind of publicly funded institution for the vulnerable. So instead of putting them in the shelter, we invest our money in jail. And then we put people in jail. And then we can exploit their labor in jail. We can hide them in jail. We can sell them $5 a minute phone calls, and we can put them in for-profit prisons that generate capital for people.